Okay, Caesar salad for you.
You're 23 years old, you're working your way through college with plans to be a doctor, and
Thank you.
what could possibly get in your way now? Well, if you're Jennifer Davis, the answer you have to take seriously is cancer. Not a cancer Jennifer actually has or has ever had. It's the cancer that has been stalking her family for generations. Her great-grandmother had breast cancer at 28 and a mastectomy and died at the age of 32. Her grandmother got cancer and died at 69. Her grandmother's sister needed a mastectomy but still died of ovarian cancer at age 63, while that woman's daughter had breast cancer at 38 and a mastectomy and died at 44. And then there is Jen's own mother, Susan, who had her ovaries and uterus removed as a preventive measure in the 90s, yet she still developed breast cancer and has survived after a double mastectomy. But it was during Susan's treatment that she made a discovery that would change her family's life forever. She learned that some cancer runs in families and that you can now test for that, for a mutation in what is called the BRCA gene. Men, and not many people know this, can also get breast cancer. The mutation seriously worsens their odds for that and for other cancers. When Susan learned that such a genetic test was available, she and her sister Linda went on a campaign to convince everyone in the family to get the test. The stunning result, in Jen's family, 8 out of 9 members were positive for the gene.
Hello, family.
Hi.
The other day, those 8 family members gathered in the home of Jen's Uncle Steve in a Washington, D.C. suburb where getting everyone's names committed to memory took some doing.
Hey.
You're Susan.
I'm Susan. I'm the one that got the cancer, that started the ball rolling with the testing.
The roulette wheel has spun in a very, very bad way for your family.
Both of my children,
All
three of Steve's, and 1 out of 2 of Linda's children
Which
are
is an
positive.
incredibly bad luck, streak of bad luck.
It is. Remember that? Remember that one?
I talked to the family in 2 separate groups. In the kitchen, the more senior generation, let's call them, Linda, Steve, and Susan, who are sisters and brother.
That's what I'm scared about.
In the living room, I spoke with Linda, Steve, and Susan's kids, who are remarkably comfortable talking about their genetic bad luck.
We're the mutant family. We all have mutated genes. So it's kind of our joke.
But is that what you all call? I mean, that is the joke that you
Yeah.
kind of keep going? It's pretty, I mean, it's a nice way to handle it, actually.
And what are you going to do?
So they're telling you that your odds of getting cancer are rather terribly high.
Yeah.
And to have your uterus removed, to have your breasts removed, and your ovaries removed. So
Before
what kind
you
of,
turn 35.
Before you're 35. What kind of choice is that? Gina is 30 and the mother of 2 children.
I've had half of it done. I've had my ovaries removed and my uterus removed. It was an easy decision for me. I have 2 children. Me and my husband had already decided there was going to be any more kids.
Gina's sister Christy, on the other hand, also a mother, is 28 and taking it a little more slowly. You have a child and you're pregnant now, and you're BRCA positive. Do you know what you're going to do?
My plan is to have a hysterectomy by the age of 30. And then I have not made the decision, the other half of the decision, as far as what I'm going to do with the other part of me.
Yeah.
That's a much more difficult part to decide. It's external, not internal.
In other words, you mean people can see it?
Yeah,
It'll
and
affect how you
that's
present
more
to the
of
world.
me. I can see it, I can feel it, I see it every day. It's something I have to think about every day. At this point, I can not think about it if I don't want to.
I'm also kind of talking about the psychological aspect of it, because a woman's breasts are certainly part of her visible sexual identity.
Absolutely, but I think I have a different. Chrissy was speaking about how that's an external part of her, and I understand that because I mean I think all women, it's an external part of your body. But I have a different take on it. They were given to us to feed our kids, and I fed too.
They've done their work.
They've done their work. I mean, you know, I don't know how else to explain it, but that.
No, that puts it really well, actually.
I mean, I don't know what else to say but that. I don't need them to survive. They don't make me.
Talk to your husband a little bit.
Well, you know,
It's not his decision.
He's supportive and yeah.
No, I meant about her needing them.
Silly.
Thank you for classing this thing up.
What happens if your spouse is against the surgery? Christy has a twin sister. This is Amber. She's been married only 2 months and has not yet had kids.
What is your husband's view on what you should do?
If something arises, then take care of it and take those kind of steps.
Not preemptive surgery?
Right.
Back in the kitchen in the senior generation, both women here made decisions after seeing their mother die of ovarian cancer to have their ovaries and uteruses removed. Even then, Susan eventually developed breast cancer.
It was December the 19th that I found a lump, and I thought, how could I not have noticed this? I was shocked to find out that it was cancer.
For Linda, seeing her sister get breast cancer made up her mind for good. She underwent preemptive surgery to remove both of her breasts.
Why did you do it? When you didn't have a hint of cancer and haven't, and yet you went ahead. And how extensive was your surgery? What did you have done?
I had a double mastectomy and bilateral free tram reconstruction, and so it was pretty
extensive.
Pretty extensive.
And you didn't have to, in the sense that you could have taken your best shot at living, surviving with not getting cancer. But
That's exactly right. Then my sister was diagnosed. By that time, I now had 2 first-degree relatives who were diagnosed with breast and/or ovarian cancer, and that's when we said, together with a group of doctors, said, I don't really have any options.
When it came to Linda and Susan's brother Steve, he didn't really want to get the genetic test in the first place.
I was kind of in denial.
Why? What was that about?
Maybe I didn't want to know.
And what are your risks as a man who has this
prostate and breast cancer, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Very low percentage, and colon cancer.
And I've seen
And some
men.
pancreatic is also another.
I've seen men with being treated for breast cancer when I was in for treatment. I've seen them there for recurrence of breast cancer.
That was pretty amazing.
One member of this generation who was not here today, Jennifer's brother Richard, who died earlier this year in a motorcycle accident. But we know from a documentary in which Richard was featured that he and his cousin Jeff both had the mutation.
Not only did she see my mom go through it, we visited your mom in the hospital after her mastectomy.
As does the film's director, by the way.
Even telling somebody, a significant other that I may be involved with, before marriage or before children, hey, are you going to turn your head at me because I just told you that there's a risk factor?
I'm going to make mutated babies?
Right.
That was Richard, and this is his sister, Jennifer, who still faces some of those very questions.
Will you tell your next boyfriend?
Of course.
Do you think that there are guys that's going to scare away?
I'm sure. But, if they can't accept it, then maybe they're just not man enough. I don't know. But, it is. It's one of those things, you take it or leave it.
You also seem remarkably, and I mean this in a positive way, resigned to the way the genetic dice fell for you. I don't hear you feeling sorry for yourselves.
Like I said, what are you going to do? You got what you got.
Of course, it is not that simple, because there's a new generation coming along for this family, the kids of all of these kids on the couch. You cannot test someone until he or she is 18, which can be a long time to wait when there is so much at stake. I'm John Donvan for Nightline in Washington.